Carolina Insider is presented by Wells Fargo, official sponsor of Carolina Athletics. Visit your Carolina Ford dealer, proud partner of Carolina Athletics. Coca-Cola, there's magic when we cheer together. And by Hardison and Cochran, dial 919 all fours for a free legal consultation.
Hello again and happy holidays. It is another edition of the Carolina Insider. My name is Jones Angel. Appreciate you being here. Next 30 minutes have a bunch of Tar Heel topics to discuss. We'll start on the basketball court. Carolina finally, for the first time since Thanksgiving, picked up a victory. They topped Georgia Tech by 16 in the Smith Center. We'll have highlights from the win over the Jackets. Plus, after the game, Adam Lucas and I sat down for our rapid reactions to the victory. That included some conversations with Hubert Davis and Armando Bacot. You'll see some of all of that in the postgame of Carolina's win over Georgia Tech. Also, we'll go back earlier in the week, an absolute heartbreaker for Carolina's women's soccer team. Led 2-0 late in the game against UCLA, but sees the Bruins score twice in the final minutes. Then the Tar Heels fall in double overtime by the final score of 3-2. But you will hear some of the Tar Heels, Avery Patterson, who had both the goals for Carolina in that game, and Anson Dorrance following that matchup with UCLA. Plus, an absolute legend in Carolina athletics, Karen Shelton, retired this week after 42 years, leading the field hockey program, winning 10 national championships. Coach Shelton was honored at halftime of the matchup with Georgia Tech. You'll see some of that ceremony as well. But let's start with the action against Georgia Tech. Carolina gets a 16-point win over the Jackets in the Smith Center.
Tech is milking that clock. They are not shooting till about 5 seconds at the earliest on the shot clock. Love, down low to Bacot, gets free, gets the pass, and hammers it home. Throws his body into Trimble, tried to draw the foul, didn't get that, didn't get the basket either. Davis hits the jet, spins through traffic, and lays it in. R.J. Davis spin cycling for two. Bacot hands off to Love on the perimeter. Dumps it back to Bacot, floating to the rim, jams it in, and draws the foul as well. R.J. Davis, front side for Carolina. Heels have not made a three. Davis tries to change it, and he does, stripping the net. Coleman misses the transition three. Trimble runs it down. Still 26-24. Long pitch ahead. Trimble to Bacot for the throwdown.
Well, credit Bacot for running.
Davis lobs it down to Bacot. Extra pass to Nance. Back out to Davis. Pump fake for three. Sends it in the corner. Nance wide open. 4-3. It's good. Terry missed the three. Rebound Trimble. Crossover in traffic. Oh, a nifty bounce pass to Davis. Give it to him. What a pass and finish.
I'm going to tell you what, that was a threading of the needle.
Carolina lead. Bounce pass into Nance. Out to an open Love for three. Yes. R.J. Davis on the perimeter. Over to Trimble. Trimble knifes to the free throw line. Hesitation. Pulls up and gets the roll. R.J. Davis bounces in the corner to Love. Big step down the baseline. Kicks it back out to Davis. Gets a clean look at two. And you heard it go right in the heart.
The rotation looks good. The arch looks good.
Leaky Black steals an entry pass. Eric, here come the Tar Heels in transition. Love hammers it home. Tomahawk for Caleb. It's an 18-point Carolina lead. Washington trying to get position down low. Finally does get the basketball outside the lane on the right side. Backing in, turns, shoots, and gets it to drop home.
Well, your first points of the Tar Heel, young fella.
They don't just win it, they win it by looking pretty good, too. 75-59. Carolina gets the victory here in the Smith Center against Georgia Tech.
Carolina Insider is presented by Wells Fargo, official sponsor of Carolina Athletics.
Welcome back to the show. Carolina getting a nice win over Georgia Tech in the Smith Center on Saturday afternoon. After the game, Adam Lucas joined me. We had some of our thoughts on the victory over the Jackets. Plus, I talked to Hubert Davis. Adam talked to Armando Bacot. Let's give you some of all that post-game reaction after the Tar Heels get their first win on the basketball court since Thanksgiving. Adam, number one, felt good just to have Carolina win the game. But the Tar Heels just looked more like the Tar Heels. And it wasn't a perfect performance by any stretch, but they looked much more like the team you expected to see this year from Carolina.
As you'll hear from both Hubert Davis and Armando Bacot, it just looked like Carolina basketball. The Tar Heels dominated the glass. They pushed the ball in transition. They used good judgment between shooting and passing. They made the extra pass, and as Hubert Davis likes to say, went from good to great offense. And they defended well enough to beat Georgia Tech. And that all adds up to the first ACC win of the year, which is exactly what Carolina needed on Saturday afternoon.
Fifth time since the year 2000, Adam, that Carolina's had two guys have 20 or more points and 10 or more rebounds. So if you didn't watch the game, you'd say, oh, wow, Armando Bacot and Pete Nance had a big day. Not that Pete Nance had a bad game, but he is not one of these two. Bacot had 21 points and 13 rebounds. But Adam, R.J. Davis, 22 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. Thought it was his best performance of the season, and I don't even think it's close.
And he got those 22 points on 8 of 13 shooting. So he was incredibly efficient. He made good decisions. He got the ball up the court quickly. That was the version of R.J. Davis that everyone thought Carolina was going to get after watching him this summer, because that honestly is how he looked almost every single day.
Carolina also effectively using the bench, Seth Trimble, Puff Johnson, Tyler Nickel, and Jalen Washington getting into the game for the first time. A really talented young player, has battled injuries, has not played in more than a year. So really excited to see him play the last couple minutes of this game as well. As Adam alluded to, let's get to our interviews. I talked to Hubert Davis. Adam talked to Armando Bacot. We'll see and hear both of those conversations, and then we'll come back and get you set for the upcoming week with the Tar Heels.
It's nice to win, and I'm just really happy for all the players. Right after the game, I talked to them and just told them how proud I was of them, of not just the game, the energy and the effort, but also their preparation, attention to detail leading up to this game. And Georgia Tech is such a good basketball team, and they do different stuff on both ends of the floor, so you have to be well prepared, and they were. And I'm just really happy for them. The greatest joy for me as a coach is to see them happy, see them joyful, see them have smiles on their faces. And it's been a couple weeks since they've had that, and so it's good to see them smile.
In addition to winning the game, of course, goal number one, just seemed like you guys played more like the team that it feels like you want your team to be. You rebounded, you ran, you distributed the basketball, just felt like more like the team you want.
That's interesting, because at halftime, I came into the coach's locker room, I looked at all the staff, and I said, that last 3 minutes, for the first time, I feel like all year, looked like Carolina basketball. We were getting stops, we were running, we were getting layups, we were getting dunks and threes. We were making the extra pass, that play where RJ was wide open, but it was good to great. We talked about we're making passes, but we're not making the extra pass, and he makes that pass to Pete in the corner for a 3. That stretch, I said, now this is what I want to see. This is what Carolina basketball looks like. And in the second half, I felt like we sustained that, and we played really well on both ends of the floor.
Another double-double, another double-digit rebound game. You're a guy who appreciates history. That now ties you for the most double-digit rebound games in school history. What does that feel like?
That really just showed me I've just been here for a long time, really. 61, dang. Think about playing that many games and then having double-doubles in that many games. That's just crazy.
That is crazy. And it was crazy the difference that you appeared to make back on the court. Of course, we missed you up in Blacksburg. What difference did it feel like there was with you out there with both the Carolina offense and really the defense too?
Yeah, well, just watching the game versus Virginia Tech, I got to see some of the opportunities that I had, and I noticed that I just wasn't being as aggressive, specifically on the offense end, just looking for my shot and really just trying to enforce my will down there. And, I took 16 shots today, and I'm pretty sure that's the most I took all year. And, I only shot 50%, but I think just me just being that aggressive, that'll definitely help the team out and something we need.
But, we just made a little change, and we said, look, our 5 men, just run as fast as you can to the front of the rim. Let's stay at our spots and to give us spacing. And if we could pitch ahead for a 3, we can drive to the basket. But let's look for a quick post-up. They can't double-team Armando in transition. And I think it really opened up everything, and it gave everybody a place to run because they thought they might get the ball. So the wings are running. I might get the ball so I can shoot. Mondo was running. I might get the ball. I can post up. And then RJ and Caleb and Seth did a good job pushing the ball up the floor and getting us to those spots where we could be effective on the offensive end.
So Carolina breaks that long streak of lack of success, as they now 6-4 on the season and 1-1 in conference play. Adam Tar Heels back at home on Tuesday against the Citadel, and then the first of really key neutral site games against Power 5 teams, non-conference. It starts with Ohio State, that's Saturday in New York City, then Michigan after that in Charlotte, all coming before Christmas. These 3 games, Citadel at home, then Ohio State, Michigan, really important contest, it feels like, for Carolina to continue to play well, because then it's nothing but ACC after that.
And really determines how you're going to feel going into that big chunk of ACC play, because if Carolina could get on a little roll here and not just win these 3 games, but play the same way they did today, looking like Carolina basketball, I think you feel pretty good about going into the ACC, where certainly the rest of the league has been tremendously up and some down. And so you feel like you got a chance to compete there. But most importantly, just do this consistently. It's one thing to play this way after you heard from Hubert Davis all week in practice. The other teams are punking you. That's what he kept telling the Tar Heels. And so that was the charge today. Don't let Georgia Tech punk you. And Carolina didn't. And now the test is do it consistently.